have other evening activities.
Sure. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Okay, 4.1, Superintendents Report.
I wanted to give the board an update as Central's getting really close to a final master schedule. You saw at a recent committee of the whole evening some of the things that they're going for. They were able to accomplish them all. The one thing that's changed since then is they reinserted twister time. Just no way to complete the interventions that they do, and both academic and social emotional, as well as some other school-related services without kids missing important instruction and encore and core. So other than that, it remains unchanged. The order is a bit different as the encores are spread out throughout the student day for the first time, which is, I think, exciting. I'm not even quite sure how they pulled that off, because I think the reason why we've clumped them in the past is because they vary in length of time from the core, that they had to be grouped that way in order to make it work, but somehow they did it. And I think it will also result in fewer grade levels passing simultaneously, which is also a good thing. So I just wanted to give the board that update. Next, summer technology work. Vern and his team are going to be working hard this summer. Vern, do you want to share, or would you like me to share?
Go ahead.
So we're getting a new wireless network at Fierick and Cruz, which is exciting. The wireless access points will all be new, as will the cabling for those. And also, staff that are listening are going to be excited to hear that we're getting a new Comcast Business Voice Edge phone system district-wide. Our current phone system is over 20 years old, and if you're an employee in the district, you know that it's frequently glitchy, and our team has been outstanding in providing support for that phone system, but we're going to get us into the 21st century with the phone system this summer, so we're excited about that. So Vern, we appreciate in advance your team's hard work making that happen. I want to talk a bit about COVID as we're starting to make our plans for 2022-23 school year. We believe that a good amount of our current efforts will hopefully be no longer necessary. The resources it takes from the nursing staff and from the administration staff, and also affected teachers and paras to do contact tracing every time there's a positive case. You can imagine how burdensome that is. And as hospitalizations and death rates continue to fall despite higher infection rates at times, it seems like the newest versions of the disease are much less deadly, which is comforting. So our intention is to start treating it more like our policy treats other communicable diseases, with the understanding that we'll still be in partnership with the Illinois Department of Public Health whenever we're in an outbreak situation. Our intention is to notify families of affected classrooms when there's a confirmed positive case in a classroom, as we would with other infectious diseases, with a flyer. And then if we get into an outbreak situation in any group of kids, any cohort or classroom of kids, that we would follow up with a longer letter on our letterhead that has recommendations and suggestions for testing and masking. So this is consistent with what a number of our neighboring districts have been doing since February of this year. I'm pleased that we did this spring the way that we did. I thought it was a nice segue from the pandemic to post-pandemic life, and I hope that that's where we're headed. It sure seems that we are. So I'll be back with other recommendations later in the summer, but as of right now, it looks like we're going to be able to reduce a good number of the mitigation efforts and strategies that we've been employing. We're still going to be cleaning and disinfecting all surfaces daily, and focusing on good hand washing in appropriate times of day, hand washing for kids. That's a good lesson, whether there's illness in the school or not. And that's part of a hygiene component that's always been part of our practice, but the pandemic was a nice reminder to make sure that we focus on that and teach kids right. So I look forward to conversations with board members over the summer, and if things change in the environment, obviously I'll keep you up to date. I just wanted to, we've been through a lot together with regard to the pandemic, so I just wanted to kind of see your faces and your body language to see if you thought we were moving in the right direction by taking that next step towards normalcy and treating COVID like any other infectious disease. Great, thank you. III Joint Annual Conference is until November, but now is the time, you might not believe that this is the time that Angela begins preparations for the board's and administration's attendance for III, which is typically the week before Thanksgiving in November. So she gets on it really quick so that we don't have to walk several blocks from our hotel in the almost always sleety or snowy weather. And so she's going to be reaching out to board members soon to see what your preliminary interest is in. Preliminary interest is in attending. She's also going to let you know this time when the cancellation dates are. So you can give it another thought and another thought as we meet those deadlines, so that if you aren't able to attend, then the district's able to recover the registration fee. So look for those emails coming from Angela in the coming weeks. We hosted a superintendent's breakfast on May 18th that was very well attended. I appreciate the board members that were able to attend as well. Those are great events, and I think that attendees think that we have them so that I can tell them a bunch of stuff and make them smart about school district stuff. And I think they're starting to really catch on that I'm much more interested in what I can learn from them than what I can teach them about our district. It really is a two-way discussion. And we've had enough of them now where I feel like the families are not only comfortable with me, but with each other, enough where we can have some really good discussion. Some of the topics that we talked about were the future of new playground at Cruz, report card grading. We talked about COVID a bit, and we also talked about some of the post-pandemic challenges that we're facing. And it was really good. It was really good. I appreciate their time, and I think they appreciate not just being heard, but also being important players in our disposition as much as we are also trying to impact theirs positively. They certainly impact ours. So it was a very, very good experience for everybody, and I look forward to continuing those next year. Some congratulations are in order. These are my favorite months when we've got all celebrations and no condolences to report, which is very nice. So first, our congratulations to Michael Baggett and his family on the arrival of their son. Mike is an LBS at Fierk. And congratulations to Katie and TJ Dexter on the arrival of Owen Thomas Dexter. Owen made an early arrival on May 16th, and everyone's doing great. Katie and TJ are both teachers at Central. And congratulations to Chantal Martin and family. Lily Renee Pearl was born on Friday, June 3rd. 6 pounds, 8 ounces, 21 inches long, and everyone is at home recovering and doing well. Beautiful baby girl. Chantel's a 6th grade ELA teacher at Central. So our congratulations to all those folks, and that concludes the superintendent's report.
Real quick, before we move on, can I ask a question about the central schedule?
Sure.
Has there been any changes to the encore offerings this year? At Central?
Which courses are being
The
offered?
encore offerings, yeah.
Yeah, no, same list of encores that we had this year.
And then when we talked back, I think it was like last July, about the Spanish encore being an encore because it was a 4-core versus 5-core. Is that switching now that we're moving to a 5-core?
I don't think so. Although that's a topic that seems to come up every year. Not just for the reason you said, certainly for the reason you said, but also for the impact that it has on enrollment in the Spanish program. And does it need to be a looped program where a student needs to be in it in 7th and 8th, or can an 8th grader take Spanish for the first time? We've tried it both ways, making it a core and making it an encore, or making it neither, making it a standalone. And there's pluses and minuses to all of them. And the things that are good about each one are attractive. And we have the conversation every year because we're bound and determined to find a way to get all the benefits of both or all three choices, depending on how you look at it, without the limitations, but we haven't cracked that code just yet.
Thanks.
Okay. Moving on, 5.1, union reports.
We don't have a union report this evening other than tomorrow is the last day of school. So we're just going to sit here and smile. We are looking forward to professional development over the summertime and summer school, and we had a lovely retirement end of year celebration last week. We did miss many of you, but those who were there had a good time. And we're just looking forward to a good, healthy, restful summer for all of you guys as well.
For the ESP union, we have our board, which is pretty much coming back. Myself, I am the official president.
You're here.
Vice president will be Melissa Knaus, secretary Kelly Steck, treasurer Julie Miner, senators will be Renee Cusper. Building reps, we have a couple new ones. Nikki Cardella is at Memorial. Fulton will be Jill Capera. Darlene Thompson will be at Cruz. FIRC is going to be Lisa Albano, and Central will be Brenda McAdar. Also, we had the Special Olympics, which was May 20th. It was fantastic seeing the kids throughout the district, because some of us paras have moved from buildings where students have changed, so that was phenomenal to see the kids. It was nice to see the other paras too, because a lot of times we don't get to see each other other than the obvious training. So it was a nice end of the year, kind of like celebration, and to see the kids all interact and stuff. And we too are looking very much forward.
Excellent, thank you. 6.1, citizens may address the board at this time. Do we have any citizens? Okay. Seeing none, can I have a motion to go into closed session, please?
Move we go into closed session for a personnel matter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy,
Yes.
Chilada,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Dunlop,
Yes.
Lloyd, yes, Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes, there will be action following this closed. back in open session. Can I have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
I move that we adopt items 8.1 approval of minutes, 8.2 approval of 6-month review of closed session minutes, 8.3 approval of the destruction of closed session tapes, 8.4 approval of financial items, 8.5 approval of personnel items.
Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Shalata.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. 8.6, appointment of CMS assistant principal.
This is the good stuff. So it's my privilege and honor to make the recommendation to the board to hire Rebecca Farabee as the next assistant principal of Central Middle School. Rebecca has been a teacher of science and mathematics at Central since 2016. And when we're able to grow grow our finest, it's really, really satisfying. Rebecca has a love for education, most important, a love for kids. She also has positive relationships with everybody in the building. And we talked a little bit about the benefits to that, already knowing the lay of the land. We talked a little bit about the challenges sometimes, being seen in a different role by your peers. And her perspective on those two things was as enlightened as anyone that I've talked to with a ton of administrative experience, and this will be her first administrative position. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to Rebecca and to wish her all the best in this position.
Can I have a motion, please?
I move the Board of Education approve the appointment and contract for Rebecca Farabee as the Assistant Principal of Central Middle School for year 2023.
Is there a second?
I second.
Discussion. Secretary, call the roll, please.
Malloy.
Yes.
Shalata.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. Congratulations. 8.7, approval of school board conference attendance for 22-23.
Yes, this is a customary action that the board takes according to its policy that empowers you to continue in your own growth as a board member in attending conferences, and in this case, particularly the III conference in November.
Can I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the attendance of board members at local, state, or national conferences in the 2022-23 school year according to policy.
Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion. Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Shalata.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. 8.8, approval of contract renewal for general education transportation.
Yes, so thus ends the good news portion of the board meeting.
Such a buzzkill, Jeff.
I'm sorry.
But you gotta laugh, it's funny, right?
Yeah.
Funny.
So for your approval tonight is the contract renewal for general ed transportation. This was info last month. We're recommending that you approve it. It's a 10% increase in rates from last year, which they started at 17%. So I consider that somewhat of a victory to get them down to 10. We're happy with the company. They're doing their best to provide full drivers. They've raised their wages and everything. So 10% is the best that we could get them to. And so I'm recommending approval at that number.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the contract for general education student transportation with American School Bus Company for fiscal year 23 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Shalata.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. 8.9, approval of food service intergovernmental agreement with Orland School District 135.
The bad news train rolling.
Yes, here we go. So we've been doing food service with Orland, getting our food from them through Quest for the past 10 years. And typically we'll do 3 or 4 year contracts at a time. They came to us and asked for a new 4-year deal with raised prices for the current year. Right now, we're paying them $1.05 per breakfast. They want to go to $1.25. We're paying $3.34 for lunch. They want to go to $3.50. Those prices are actually right in line with what I would expect, given the food inflation and supply chain issues that are going on. I think it's a fair request from them. And we are also locking in with this contract a 4-year deal so that we're safe, but it's also going to be tied to food inflation increases each year.
They're not making any money off us.
They're
right?
not,
Then it just is what it is.
it's passing through.
That's right, Rick.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the intergovernmental food service agreement between Orland School District 135 and Community Consolidated School District 146 concerning the preparation of meals under the federal lunch program effective July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2025, as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Chilada.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. Approval of food service price increase for student breakfast and lunch.
So the previous one was the price we pay to Orland. This one is the price that we charge to our students. And essentially, we're keeping the price increase just to match what we are having to pay. Students who are on the free lunch program will still get food for free. Reduced will still get theirs at the same 40-cent cost, reduced price. But for the paid students, we're proposing to increase the fees in line with the increased costs that we're going to experience.
Which would be how much?
We're asking for a quarter on everything. So we had been doing $1.25 for breakfast. That'll go to $1.50. $3.50 or $3.75 elementary versus CMS will go to $3.75 and
That's still a
$4.
pretty good bargain. Can't get breakfast for $1.50 anymore.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education increases breakfast and lunch prices as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Chilada.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. 8.11, approval of Phonics supplemental resource purchase.
Yes, so the board got a chance to preview some of these items a couple committees of the whole ago. This proposal was an info item last month. There have been no changes to the recommendations since then. We look forward to getting these supplemental resources in the hands of our teachers in the fall.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move the Board of Education approve the purchase of the supplemental Phonics Resource Foundations as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Chilada.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. 8.12, approval of equipment to be declared as surplus for sale, donation, or disposal.
Yes, there's been no additions to this list since it was an info item last month. This is a combination of outdated and failing exercise equipment that's currently at the warehouse, and Matt needs the space, as well as technology equipment that's aging out of rotation. And the board needs to declare it surplus in order for us to sell it, give it away, dispose of it otherwise. So that's the purpose of this motion tonight.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve and declare the presented equipment as surplus and authorize the disposal of this equipment by sale, auction, donation, or disposal.
Second.
Any further discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Chilada.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenza.
Yes. 8.13, approval of donations to Ferrick Education Center from the Ferrick PTO.
Ferrick's PTO is just absolutely getting it done over there, as they always have. Their fundraising is phenomenal, and they're tenacious about improving the lives of students and teachers in that school building. They've made 3 recommended donations that are seeking your approval tonight. One is for a new binding machine. in the media center. One is improvements in the lounge to make the employees' daily experience more pleasant. And then most recently, some additional supplemental art supplies. We just really appreciate them and their hard work, and want to honor their desire to give to FARC with your approval tonight.
Okay, is there a motion?
I recommend that the Board of Education approve gifts and donations from the FARC PTO to FARC Education Center as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Secretary, call the roll.
Malloy.
Yes.
Shalata.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nunza.
Yes. 9.1, revised policies, first read.
Yeah, so the policy committee met. There were a good number of policies to look through, and very few that had any substantive changes. There were a good number of 5-year reviews. Your press service, press policy service from the School Board Association and their attorneys typically update language as case law changes, as the school code itself changes. Sometimes it's changes in descriptors or adjectives. In this case, a good number of them were just 5-year reviews where there were no changes at all, even in the footnotes. The footnotes themselves aren't published in the policy, but it's helpful for the policy committee to see when there are changes in the footnotes, because it just kind of changes the interpretation of the language in the policy itself. There was really nothing earth-shattering in those, but I want to draw your attention to 5:310, which is about comp time. Right now, your board policy with regard to comp time says that employees that are in a bargaining unit can't enjoy that as an alternative to overtime pay. Sometimes an employee might have to work, they're asked to work an hour late, and instead of an hour of overtime pay, they may prefer to leave their post an hour early on a Friday or something. And in the case of non-union 12-monthers, it's just been an informal thing sometimes between a supervisor and an employee. And then in the reading of this policy, it occurred to me that it's not congruent with board policy to do that for members that are in the bargaining unit. So we've rewritten it to make that allowable. We also want to make sure that the district's protected. In other words, an employee can't accumulate a career's worth of comp time and then ask for a huge check at the end of their career. So we've got a 40-hour max in any fiscal year, and at the end of the fiscal year, whatever balance of comp time is still owed to the employee is paid to them. What else about it will you care about? It needs to be pre-approved by the supervisor, both the accumulation of that time and the utilization of any time that they've accumulated. For employees that are under 40 hours, it'll be straight time. In other words, if it's a 35-hour employee and they work a 36th hour, that extra pay would be straight time to them if we paid them, so it's straight time in hours. If it's a 40-hour employee, that 41st hour would be paid time and a half, so that hour would be comped an hour and a half of time. Just some clarifying things. This is one of the enhancements that Shar is bringing to the HR office. She has such a mind for it, and she's already started her regular kind of spot auditing of our rules, spot auditing of our collective bargaining agreements, and making notes so that we can treat everybody as well as they can be treated under the law. And this is, I think, a really nice enhancement for that.
What policy number did you say it was?
5:310. If you look in board docs, it's the last one on your list of
Okay.
policies. And the name of the policy is compensatory time off.
Okay.
Is there a way to tell which one are just like their annual 5-year? Like when I'm looking at these policies, is there a way to tell on here?
The ones that have no red ink on them whatsoever are the ones that were just reread and
And then-
resubmitted.
Are all of these just coming from press, or any of them coming from your policy committee? You know, are any of these specific to 146? That was,
So the comp time one is authored by us. The rest of them are from press.
Thank you.
Okay. 9.2, proposed sub-rates minimum wage increase.
I would call this another enhancement from Shar. She's been working with J Money. I don't want to give all the credit to Shar because J Money was a partner in this. So, J Money, you want to take it away or you want me to?
Sure. So, actually, Shar did 99% of the work on this, but, so she compared, so as we all know, there's a sub shortage out there, and we have many days where we're short subs and all of that. So one of the things we wanted to look at was our sub rates. Are they competitive with area districts? So she gathered information on all the districts that are around us, and it turns out many of them have been aggressively raising their rates, and we were last or near the bottom in almost every category. So you have in board docs what the recommendations are, but some of them are for some pretty substantial increases. For example, teachers, right now it's $100 a day. We're proposing $150 a day, which is a big increase, but it keeps us competitive. And also it will do things like, right now we have to cover shortages with internal subbing, which is actually more expensive than hiring a sub. So raising the rate might, in a way, lower our overall cost, and it keeps us competitive and all of that. So there's several different categories. They're all on the attached document. It's info this month. We'll be asking for approval next month. The other thing is that the minimum wage has been rising $1 every year, every January 1st, and we are now at the point where that is catching some of our employees. So typically raises happen here on July 1st, so our proposal is for the minimum wage ones, we would raise it July 1st instead of January 1st when it officially kicks in, just to keep it
Stay ahead of the game.
stay ahead of the game and also do it at the same time. It's easier for payroll in the summer when there's less going on.
A good number of those positions are hard to fill right now too, so that'll make us just maybe a bit more attractive.
For the long-term daily rate, the 20 days, do they get the regular rate, and then after 20 days, they get the?
No, if it's a long-term assignment, then they get the long-term rate from the very beginning.
My favorite part about that is we've always done where the 20 days needed to be in the same assignment in order to qualify for the increase, which attracted people to those jobs. But what it also did was not honor the teachers, the substitute teachers that show up every day in different assignments and are willing to work lots of consecutive days. So that's the other change to this is if you work 20 consecutive days for the district, even if they're in 20 different assignments, you'll qualify for the higher rate of pay until there's a break in your service and then it starts over.
How much does this affect our budget?
It's hard to tell, specifically because we've been short so many subs. So we've not been paying this, we've been paying internal subs, which are more expensive. I'm hopeful that this will actually be neutral on a budget basis.
I actually think it's gonna be better than neutral. I mean, if you look at the per period cost for internal subs, it's the hourly rate of a per diem of a certified teacher. And it considers all of their years of service. So somebody who's, lane 4, step 30 in internal subs for a period, which they don't love doing, like they do it because they're good soldiers. But the expense to the district is really high. We would much rather fill these all with external subs.
Well, how much is everyone paying? Or where does this put us in the range?
150 seems to be the standard rate right now out there, with one or two higher and one or two lower, but
Well, do you see
the
where we're
100
going
that
with
we
this
were
then?
paying
I mean,
was,
if we're-
the 100 we were paying was like dead last of all the ones we looked at.
Well, what I'm saying is if we're paying
Kick it up a notch.
teachers $300 a day to sub, why wouldn't we make it 175 and get the most subs?
I think we need competitive rates to, if substitutes would teach somewhere else, if.
Let me propose that, I was gonna close this by saying, this morning I had a conversation with J Money and Shar. And said, hey, while we're doing this, let's take a look at all categories. Let's not just look at teachers, let's look at sub-nurses and sub-secretaries and sub-everybody's. So I was gonna close this by saying that as we uncover that, I'll be sending it to you in real time, and then we'll be adding it to the proposal for your action in August. So why don't we give you the comparables in real time? So you can talk about whether or not you wanna make it a different number.
Also, my concern would be if the cost right now is 150 in the other districts you compared to, and there's a sub-shortage, maybe they're raising their rates and then we're still lower.
I mean, if you're saying it's budget neutral or close to it, I mean, it's not like we're not raising the rate 50% and our sub costs are gonna go up 50%. It's not gonna be anything like that, then
Yes,
I don't see why we wouldn't be aggressive about
I'm
getting
cool with
substitute
that.
teachers.
Be careful when you look at the budget, though, because I think, Money, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, I think that our sub-pay line item is a different line item than the payroll that we would pay one of our internal people to do it. So you'd have to consider two different line items, and
I guess to clarify, I'm not speaking about like budget and I'm speaking about it in terms of the bottom line to the of money actually spent for the district. So.
I think it's a winner that way. If you're just talking about bottom line, I think it's a winner. I'll tell you that Money and I looked at this, I don't know, I want to say last summer, but I'm starting to think that maybe it was 2 summers ago, and we liked where we were. So we haven't been out of the market for long.
Yeah, I remember we had conversations
We
about
definitely
that.
reviewed this a
Yeah.
couple years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And is that why the paraprofessional, there's no change? Had that been changed more recently?
I think so.
That
but
one
it
was
looked good.
reviewed and we were in line with the other districts.
Other thoughts? Okay, 10.1, communications. I know we have a few out there.
I'll go first. Dear Tinley Council, Board of Education, and ESP Union, thank you for the Amazon gift card I received at the retirement dinner in May. I appreciate your kindness and generosity. Retiring is bittersweet. Thank you for the opportunity to teach in District 146. Gratefully, Alice Ducalo.
Thank you for the delicious luncheon and tote for Appreciation Week. So sweet, CMS staff.
Dear 146 Board of Education Administration, thank you for the generous Amazon gift card on my retirement. It has been my honor to work for the students and families these 19 years, and I will always be proud and appreciate the opportunity and many benefits afforded here. Linda Ferguson.
Okay, can I have a motion to go back into closed session, please?
I move that we go into closed session for a personnel item.
Second.
Secretary call roll?
Malloy.
Yes.
Shalata.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Dunlap.
Yes.
Lloyd, yes. Barry.
Yes.
Nenzo.
Yes, there will be no action following this closed. Thank you, everyone.